Thank you, Chris, and thank you, everybody. In the program, the title of the presentation was originally, I need that, yes, was originally energy and telecommunications or connectivity. And the reason for that was that where we got involved in the technology piece was around solving some issues for distributed energy. And I'm going to focus purely on connectivity today, but energy in itself, particularly in the environment that we all operate in, is a key issue, and it's going to be a key challenge for the next little while. If you follow not just the headlines, but the detail, the Australian Energy Regulator last week published the determination of the default market offer, which saw an increase in energy prices of 9%. The Australian Energy Market Commission in their forward projections published in October last year said that over the next decade, energy prices will continue along the same trajectory, although start to reduce, in year 9 and 10. But the issue is it's from a very high rate from where it is today. So energy is something that is going to be a challenge, not just for you, the operators, but also for your homeowners, and energy poverty becomes something that's very, very real. But I'm not going to talk about that today because I can get very, very boring very quickly on energy. The reason we did, as I mentioned, we got involved in the technology piece was because we were trying to solve for this distributed energy. And we started with conversations with Adrian Pulich at GemLife and the stakeholders of GemLife, where they had a view or a vision around what they wanted to achieve with energy. And Adrian, in his presentation this morning, said that he was contemplating or conceiving the vertical land lease product 12 years ago. Well, he was doing the same with distributed energy resource well before anybody else was really thinking about it, to be quite honest. So he's to kudos to Adrian. He does see beyond the horizon, but then has the courage to actually implement it. And that's been, I guess, the opportunity that I've had, is to shape something that we actually deliver on someone's vision and plan. I'm going to change my presentation a little bit today because, to be honest, a lot of people have covered off a lot of what I was going to speak about. So what I'm going to talk around is not so much what can be done, but actually what is it? So what is this 5G solution? What is the benefit? How it can be rolled out, and the practical applications, and of course, how it can be applied to your facility. So excuse me as I skip through a couple of pre-prepared slides. I don't need to cover any of this. You all know it's an aging population. I know, getting old, I every time I open social media, I get an advertisement from one of you people, organisations trying to sell me your latest development. If you can just tell your marketing departments just to stop, please. The previous presenter made a very good point that the expectations with the demographic that is going into retirement living, their expectations around technology is probably very different to what we perceive. And I know with I do a lot of homeowner forums, talking to homeowners around the place, and it's predominantly around energy and technology. They're very highly educated. I don't want to say bored, but they've got a lot of time on their hands, so they're very well researched. And they are very technology savvy. And with that comes the challenge to be able to provide the technology layers and the solutions and the services that sit over that to satisfy that demographic. It's just not the 20-year-olds or the 30-year-olds that have a desire for connectivity. It's the retired demographic as well. And Adrian made a point with that weather system that went through southeast Queensland a couple of weeks ago. The GemLife, the Prospector network that we delivered at GemLife Gold Coast was the only network in that area, including NBN, that had connectivity. NBN was down, so the homeowners at GemLife at Gold Coast with the Prospector network were the only ones in the region that maintain connectivity. And I know for myself, living on the Gold Coast, I had no internet. My children were walking around like they were going through some sort of withdrawal, scratching themselves because they couldn't jump on whatever they're jumping on. The other key point is what Chris mentioned, is this ageing in place and this duty of care, which has been very much a theme of the presentation around having the people stay in their homes longer. There's that duty of care on yourself. So to be able to satisfy that requires this series of connectivity pieces. The challenge is obviously, you guys know your challenge, you know your business. You've got aging infrastructure. In some cases, Obviously greenfield is very much easier to deliver this stuff on, or anything on, than brownfield. But the challenge is you've got an existing stock that you need to be able to service, and obviously the deployment of deployment costs, or the time it takes in upgrading. So what we landed on, and I'll sort of go back to the conversation on the energy, was we landed on well, I should say business as usual was fibre to the premise. And it works, it obviously works, we've all got fibre to our homes. But it didn't provide the level of connectivity that we required to be able to operate what we wanted to operate. If I look at the energy systems on itself, we wanted to be able to monitor, measure and control every device that related to energy. So that was smart meters, energy inverters, solar inverters, and then when it's augmented with community batteries. We needed to be able to extract as much data as we could to make sure that when we, in the future state, when the battery's there, that we're optimising that battery, because it's a big investment and we need to ensure that it operated effectively. So the fibre would obviously work, but the cost of the deployment and the need to connect every device becomes far too expensive. So our research sort of found us, we sort of spent a lot of time looking into it, and we came across this notion of enterprise 5G. And what enterprise 5G is, it's nothing that we've invented or created. We've just taken something that's, we all use 5G. If we've opened up our mobile phone, we've got a little 5G there. We're using a technology that is readily available, proven and usable, and we've brought it back into an enterprise level. The real benefit is that it's not a one-to-one connectivity, it's a one-to-many connectivity. So you can connect, control and monitor any device, people, I don't say in a big brother sense, but people or things as you need to. So if I go back to the Gem Life context, the homeowners needed the connectivity, so they still want their internet at home to browse Netflix or mine Bitcoin or whatever they're doing within their home. But we needed that extra level of connectivity where we can access the smart meter, the solar inverter. And then once we've done that and we've built that connectivity layer, we can start to explore what else can be done. And there's obviously two levels to that. There's in the home and in the community. And if we look at within the home, the connected device, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I think there's quite a few things out in the expo area that demonstrate some of this, and I know a lot of the presenters previously have spoken about it. But when you look at the home, there's multiple devices, and I guess we go to things that can be connected that enable the management of that duty of care. We know that not 100%. Again, if I use it, the Gem Life retirement living resorts, we know that not 100% of those homeowners connect to the existing fibre network. So we can't rely on the homeowners' internet connectivity and their Wi-Fi connectivity to be able to provide what we need. So the fixed wireless access gives us the ability to be able to reach in and connect those devices independent of the homeowners. And obviously, there's all the privacy and there's the data security and all that sort of stuff that are managed. And to manage that, we got a telecommunications license, so we're a very, 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 very small Telstra, if you like. But that provides us with the obligations for reporting, for control that we need to do to satisfy the obligations of the Telecommunications Act. So you've got all that data security and safety in place. But when you look at a practical level, there's things like the geofencing that enable you to monitor and watch what I shouldn't say watch what the homeowners are doing, but if you've got vulnerable people that you need to have an understanding where they are, you can start to understand where they are. You've got things within the home that can be monitored with a layer of connectivities that will enable you to understand if a homeowner, for example, turns the kettle on at 6:30 every morning and that hasn't happened for a couple of days, you know that perhaps there's something that potentially wrong in that home, so that you can go and knock on the door. And these things aren't complicated or difficult. All of these things are available, but they just need that connectivity layer for the enablement. I've got a few little examples here. I don't need to spend too much time on this. The wearables are a key thing. These are none of the products that we have. They're just opportunities that you can use for connectivity in the home. The wearables, whether it's a watch or clothing to monitor vitals. There was a presentation earlier with the gentleman from Empire Health, which I think used the telehealth example, which is that little mini robot that can stand in front of the resident or the homeowner and have that interaction. And that sort of goes, you actually see those applications where there's family members that can communicate as well. And then the little Samsung companion robot there, which is going to replace the dog, or maybe not. When you look at the community, this is where it starts to unpack even further. I've spoken about the energy systems, which is quite simple, but then you go into things like access control, CCTV. Access control was a really interesting example. Because we went from a wired intercom system to a cloud-based intercom system, we felt that the homeowners would need some sort of device with this loaded on that they could use. So we gave them a Samsung tablet as they moved in. Every single one of them stuck that Samsung tablet in the drawer and used their phone. So it was a demonstration that this demographic is willing to move and use their own technology. So we've got an intercom system that's got this bring your own device, which has some significant ongoing maintenance costs as those things fail over time. Then you go into the environmental monitoring, whether that be air quality, whether that be flood monitoring, whether that be vegetation growth. We tie into, and these are things we're actually doing. So it's not just here's what you can do. These are the things we're actually doing today. The flood monitoring is an example. We've got sensors that are suspended above the ground, and where there's a change in space between the sensor and the ground means the water level's rising, so it'll send out an alarm. We've got links into the irrigation system with moisture sensors, so they'll measure the moisture quantity of the soil and won't bring on the irrigation system if it doesn't need to it, or it's tied into our broader, we call it energy management system, but it's more a resource management system that's watching what the Bureau of Meteorology is doing. So if the irrigation system's programmed to come on at 4 o'clock every day, but BOM says there's going to be a storm at 5, the irrigation system won't come in. So you're starting to manage a broad range of resources beyond that connectivity. And then, of course, when the homeowners or the staff or whomever wander around the facility, they've got this connectivity. The 5G, and I skipped over, and I apologize. So I'm going to take a little step back just to explain the actual, the securing of the spectrum. The 5G system that you have on your phone is what's referred to as sub-6. So it's 6 gigahertz and below. So that's what all the telcos have spent billions or hundreds of millions of dollars on securing, and that's what we've got access to on our phones and our home internet. 5G spectrum is very different to the other connectivity spectrum, such as 4G or 3G, as in it comes in layers. So if you imagine layers of imagine a sort of a tripod or not a tripod, sorry, triangle. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. I was actually thinking pyramid, but a triangle will do. You've got multiple layers, and the layer that we secure is what's referred to as 28 gigahertz, and that's millimetre wave. So it's very low latency, and theoretically, when you start to look at some of the applications, because it has zero latency, it has the ability in a future state to operate wireless vehicles or autonomous vehicles. And so a lot of the autonomous vehicle trials that have been going around use the millimetre wave connectivity because it has zero latency. And I'll come a little bit later to some other clients that we work with outside of this industry, which sort of demonstrates the use of that. But I think I've touched on what these broader applications are around the sort of the use of this around the community. So I don't think I need to go through that anymore. So how's it achieved? I think I've spoken about what it does and the benefits, but when you actually roll it out, one of the key benefits from a brownfield application is that you don't need to dig. We install radios around the resort. They're the size of a little shoebox. You can see it on top of the the light pole there. So it enables the retrofit in a brownfield environment without the need for excavation or expensive works. It provides far greater, and I'm sort of repeating myself a little bit, but it provides far greater connectivity than the Wi-Fi, and certainly again because of the fibre is a point-to-point. Fibre is one-to-one. This is a one-to-many. So it's a technology, as I said before, that's nothing we've invented or created. It's something that we've taken that's applied elsewhere into an enterprise level. So to borrow something that Chris, when I was talking to him on briefing for this presentation, he spoke about getting villages match fit. So in this context, what this can do to help you achieve that is, we've mentioned the fast internet. In fact, we get speeds of around 5.5 times that of NBN in similar areas. We get the continuity of connectivity that we've struggled with, particularly when there's weather events. It's reliable. You've got security, data security, because that's confined in that area. So it's very hard to find a network. Quite easy to well, I shouldn't say easy, but you see, the larger networks are hacked every now and again. It's going to be very, very hard to find an enterprise one. It's secure. You can connect, again, as I said, multiple devices. It's indoor and outdoor connectivity. It enables monitoring in the home, so you've got that health in the home. There's the no dig, so you don't have to dig up hard stand or manicured gardens to put it in, and it's a private asset. And if you look on that, just over the gentleman's left shoulder, you'll see the radio that's installed on a light pole, so it's unobtrusive. So talking to the Gem Life case study and Gem Life on the Gold Coast, which Adrian mentioned. Again, I think I've covered this off, but the challenge was all around finding something with better connectivity. What we've delivered is the homeowners have connectivity. Gem Life have connectivity around the resort across all of their community facilities throughout the community. So that aids in not just the homeowners, but in the operations itself. We've tied in the energy meters. We've since tied in the water meters. We've built on the energy meters. We've built a platform that enables the extraction of that data instantaneously into a billing system. We've got a platform that enables the homeowners to log in to see their energy consumption in real time, so they can monitor their usage. So we're sort of tied in this software layer. We have an energy management platform, which should be called a resource management system, which sits over the top, which controls and observes and then optimises what's there. So at the resort itself, we've integrated into the infrastructure design. When it's finished, there'll be 400 homes completed. I think I've covered off everything else, so I don't need to do that. But very quickly, in the last few minutes that we've got, sort of talk about, it's not even an adjacent industry, but it's an application for this where we're doing outside of the retirement living and aged care market. We're working with a global OEM of yellow machinery who needed to solve for connectivity on mining and quarry sites. What they want to do is to be able to inform the operators and the owners of these sites on how to operate their machinery effectively. Quite often, they'll have equipment that's carted around that's still got a tenth of the load of the last trip on, which burns extra fuel, which reduces the amount of dirt that can be moved, which added up over years adds into the millions. But to be able to monitor that in real time, they needed connectivity. So we're rolling out with them across multiple sites the connectivity which enables them to actually see what's going on with this equipment and then inform the operators or the managers on how they actually can improve the operations it's all about saving money. That organisation is going from selling yellow equipment to selling yellow equipment as a service, so they need a higher level of connectivity further because they want to be able to sell by the hour, by the trip, by the cubic metre, so that needs that. And then they go, their next level is actual autonomous trucks, and they've got them running over at their proving ground over in Europe at the moment. So they've got a sort of a step change, a stepped approach to changing their business model, which we've been very, very fortunate to be part of. So with a minute 30 left, thank you very much for your attention. Appreciate it. Thank you, Chris. If you're interested in the presentation, you can scan that QR code and grab that. We have a stand out there. More than happy to have a chat with you one-on-one if needed. So thank you very much. Thank you, Chris.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. So we are running out of time. So we've discussed many times why it's going to be so important that we do have this absolutely secure and 5 times faster private 5G network because of all the connectivity into the home, and we have the duty of care and so on. So thank you very much, Mark.